everyone, I'm Brandy from SmartSites. I'm just gonna share my screen here. I am SEO strategist here at SmartSites. To kick everything off, I just wanted to talk about UGC from a holistic digital marketing standpoint, and then dig into some of the specifics about how to leverage UGC for SEO success. So this is the authenticity factor, UGC as your SEO competitive edge. So what exactly is user-generated content? For our purposes here, that's anything that is content created by customers, users, or fans rather than brands themselves. So it's not what you're saying about yourself, it's what others are saying about you. So why does UGC matter? UGC matters primarily because of trust. 92% of consumers trust UGC over polished ads. We've become very cynical. We don't trust when we think someone is trying to sell us something. We trust if someone else recommends it to us for them. We think that this is just more, authentic. It's more trustworthy. We're more likely to actually make purchasing decisions if we're recommended something on more of like a personal one-on-one basis. UGC is also a really powerful tool to help scale your content and to help reduce the cost of your content. If you can get, hundreds of reviews, thousands of reviews about your product or your service, that is worth a lot of marketing dollars. And also the omni-channel impact is, just unparalleled as far as tactics. Like there's not much else that goes in so many different platforms and just works for your marketing on so many different levels at the same time. So there's various different types of UGC. The most common one, and the one we'll probably spend the most time talking about, is reviews. Reviews, ratings, testimonials, case studies, and references. Those are the most kind of straightforward type of user-generated content. It's people providing direct feedback on your actual product, how they enjoyed using it, what they rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, or whatever the specifics might be. Very straightforward type of user-generated content. But there are others, of course. People create guides, tips, hacks. They ask questions, Q&A, FAQs. Additionally, people are taking videos and photos of your product or service before and after. Something we think about UGC a lot for e-commerce, but also, a great source of user-generated content is these before and after photos in, industries like home services. Also, if you're in the media space, people might be creating fan art, memes, and their take on your content or whatever media you're creating. And social and community posts, people just out there talking about your product, getting recommendations, or just having general discussions and building communities. And then, of course, interactive and data. You will probably see some of that today when you have a captive audience that has a similar interest, or part of a target audience. You can use those opportunities to get user-generated content from them in the form of like polls and surveys that they may not be proactively providing, but they are in that space. You can reuse those for your marketing efforts. So what are the benefits of user-generated content on SEO? There are several things about SEO that Google really, really loves. Content freshness. When Google crawls your site and it notices that you're constantly updating with new content, new pages, new information, it's more apt to crawl your site again and again and again. As it continues to find new content. Building engaging content also naturally attracts backlinks. Long tail keywords, when we use natural language, people's actual, written feedback and comments about your product, it reflects the way that people actually are searching these days. When they use voice search and AI, it's a more conversational tone. It enhances the EEAT, which I'll get into in more detail later, but it also improves engagement and brand recognition. And those brand mentions, have real SEO value, whether they're backlinks or not. They're contributing to your brand authority, which is something that we see being even more powerful with the use of AI and citations and LLMs. So the primary, like I said, the primary kind of benefit of UGC is that authority and trust factor. And in In SEO, the way we usually describe this is EEAT. This is kind of a Google term, but it's, just because it's from Google doesn't mean it doesn't have relevance in all forms of digital marketing. So it stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. This is a key component of Google Search Quality Rater guidelines. If you're not familiar with what that means, we often think of Google as an algorithm, as just kind of a robot that doesn't always understand things from a human perspective. And while that's true, Google is also aware of this. So they have a system in place to have, Google's rankings checked by real human people, and they provide feedback, and they're asked to kind of rate the search results on their own. And one of the primary things that Google wants them to look for is this EEAT. So EEAT is a really important metric for your money or your life niches, medical, legal, financial. Obviously, if you ask something really simple, like when was the toaster ever invented, you want the right answer. But if you ask, something that has to do with health, medical, or finance, you need the right answer. If that's wrong, it can have really dire consequences. So we need these sources to be incredibly authoritative. So how exactly does Google measure something that's so nebulous? It's got a level of subjectivity to it. Kind of a big myth of SEO, something that you'll hear repeated that misses a lot of nuance, is that EEAT is not a direct ranking factor. Is that true? Technically, yes. Is it actually true? No. Google's algorithm can pick up on correlations that point to trust factors, even if it can't quite understand that that's what it's picking up on. So one of the things we learned that Google doesn't make extremely public, but came out during the Department of Justice inquiries, was this factor called nav boost. It uses and memorizes click data and refines that click data based on your user interaction. So here's what that means. There are good clicks, there are bad clicks, and there's your last longest click. So although Google can't know exactly what negative reaction caused a user to bounce away from a search page, from a search result page and go back to the search result and look at the next answer, it doesn't really know what you responded to. It just knows you didn't like that page and it didn't match your results. So if you aren't trustworthy, that's a good reason for people to leave your page. Someone visits a site, they want to buy a product. They think the site looks sketchy. They don't want to give the site their credit card number. They go back to the search engine result page and pick the second or the third result. That first result they picked is probably going to drop in those rankings as it goes on. And that will be directly because of the authority factor. So what are some UGC tactics that we can use to help improve our authority and trust on our websites and elsewhere on the web? Implementing reviews on your site is the number one most important thing that we'd like to make sure we have in place. This applies for e-commerce and service businesses alike. Reviews are by far and away the most important. We want to make sure those reviews are there. They're marked up with a proper schema, and we can even leverage some internal linking on these reviews to link the different product pages together with those reviews and various other parts of your site. Don't neglect the schema aspect of this user-generated content. The reviews themselves have their own type of schema that helps them appear in the SERP. Here's a really good side-by-side comparison of what a fully optimized, rich snippet looks like versus just kind of a blank blue link. When we have properly optimized schema and we have those reviews on our page, we can have an enhanced sort of listing that looks like this. They capture 58% of all links, and they can improve your CTR by a lot, 40 to 50% increase in CTR for these rich snippets. Also, don't be intimidated. This is a little on the technical side, but if you're a smaller brand and you're not quite sure how to wield this, there are tools for your CMS that can help implement at least a rudimentary form of the schema. But of course, we recommend SEO services and having someone with a knowledge of SEO, technical SEO on your payroll. Finally, the UGC gold mining. We can take things that your clients have said about you and repurpose it as your own copy. So you can take the product and things that people have said about your product in their language exactly as they say them, and turn that around and put it in your content directly. Sometimes it might point out things that, what you consider to be your product and feature highlights might not be what users are excited about. So they can point these things out to you. FAQs can help with proactive objection handling. If people have concerns before they buy something, you can let them know, hey, this is actually not a problem with our product. And to that end, don't just mine your own reviews. You can mine your competitors' reviews as well to find out what concerns people have and hesitations. Also, when we're talking about user-generated content, this is not just on your own site, but also in other forums and offsite review websites. Reddit is huge in SEO right now. $60 million investment between Google and Reddit and since that time, we've seen Reddit showing up, almost every time for reviews that have searches that have to do with product reviews. If you want to engage in these communities, we highly recommend that. It's a great way to discuss your brand and facilitate these conversations. We recommend the 90-20 or 90-10 rule of helpful versus promotional. Being over promotional in these spaces erodes the trust that you have, and it could also get you banned because marketing directly isn't really allowed in these spaces. The idea is to be helpful and engage with these communities, not kind of control the narrative there. And then, of course, offsite reviews are incredibly valuable, not only for that kind of third-party trust factor, but additionally, they provide backlinks, which are always helpful. And then just to touch quickly on how all these link together, your UGC strategy is powerful on several different layers. So not just with your SEO, but it links. The video can be used on so many different platforms, sharing engagement across social media. Influencers are very, very powerful tool in your tool belt that have impact on social media channels, paid and SEO alike. And contests and giveaways are a great way to generate buzz around your brand that can be used across different channels. So finally, UGC builds authentic EEAT signals that Google values. Consumers demand real experience before purchasing, and this is a great way to show that. So just start with your small wins like reviews and schema markup and build your way to building communities. And remember that these community building efforts are not easy, but they pay off in the long run. So I will do questions at the end, but thank you so much. If you want to learn more about SmartSites, there's a QR code here, and I will pass the mic to Alex from Trustpilot.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen now. All right, can everyone see my screen? Great, thank you for the thumbs up. All right, so I am Alex Kornberg. I am the head of growth at Trustpilot. And Trustpilot, for those of you, if you're not familiar, we are a review platform where customers can leave genuine feedback, and then businesses can use that feedback to help learn, grow, and improve their business. So Brandy just did a great job explaining what exactly is UGC. So we know that it's content created by people, and it could be photos or videos or testimonials, quotes, even survey responses. But what I would like to focus on in the next 10 or so minutes is what I see as one of the more powerful forms of UGC and one of the easier to source forms as well. And that, as you may have guessed, is review UGC. So again, in the next 10 or so minutes, I'll talk about what is review UGC, how to get it, why it's important, and also how to amplify it. So we'll start out with what exactly is review UGC. Really, it's what it sounds like. It's content, again, created by people that is in the form of feedback, ratings, and reviews that customers can use to engage with and ultimately help them in their buying journey, right? And I want you to just take a moment and think, like, in your own life when you are shopping online or even shopping in person, like, do you use customer reviews or photos, customer photos, things like that? Anyone? Feel free to put some thumbs up. I know I personally do, and I think that we do this because really we're looking for real answers from real people. You know, there is an instinct, I think, to look for social proof, right? In this day and age, it's part of the modern customer journey, I think. And, you know, everyone's shopping online now, and you can't like see a product in person, or you can't feel its quality. So instead, what we do is we look online to real experiences, real trusted answers from trusted people to give us, you know, direction on what to buy. And so I'd like to focus in on that word, trust, for a moment. I think it's very important, this link between trust and social proof, and that link is actually growing more and more today. Looking at some research from Edelman, they found that 71% of consumers would say that trust is more important than ever. And when that trust is gained, they found that they were 59% more open to purchasing when they had trust. And then when that trust is maintained and kept, they were 67% more likely to purchase again, to be loyal, to have a stronger lifetime value. So trust is super, super important to gain. But there is a catch that I'd like to talk through. There's a trust gap. When surveyed, 90% of business executives thought that their own brand was trusted. But then, according to research from PwC, only 30% of consumers would actually agree with that. So that is a pretty sizable gap, right? So the question then becomes, what do people actually trust? And the answer to that, in my mind, is social proof. Social proof can help to bridge that gap, absolutely. And what is a more perfect way to build that social proof than reviews? So let's talk about how to actually source reviews, how to get them. So your customer is going to make a purchase or have an experience or use your service, right? And the next step, really simply, is to just ask them to leave a review, okay? So here at Trustpilot, we recommend you asking every single one of your customers to leave a review, regardless if you think that they had a good experience or a bad experience. You don't want to cherry pick, you want to just ask everyone. And the reason you want to do this is because it will build a more authentic picture of your brand. If you went to a product page of a company you were researching, and you only saw that they had only 5-star reviews, you might think something's fishy, or you might not trust it. So that's why really just ask every one of your customers to leave a review. And the way to actually do that, what we recommend at Trustpilot, is to automate your invitations. That way, as soon as someone makes a purchase, immediately they are sent an email where they are invited to leave a review. In fact, automating, we can then see that will grow a higher volume of reviews, but it will also, in turn, it could lead to a higher rating too. In fact, looking at Trustpilot data from 2024, we took a look at customers who had automated their review invites in 2023 and found that 88% had actually increased their score. So really recommend automating your invitations. And then that really is it. Once you send those invites, the reviews should start rolling in. Then your next job will be to amplify them. So reviews really can live all across your customer journey, and they will show up organically in places, but you can also manually put them, as Brandy once again really recommended, on your website perfect place to put them on your product pages, in your marketing, on your digital ads, in your email marketing, on banners, or in your copy. Social, again, perfect place, both organic social and paid social. Get it on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. You'll see it in search show up. Even in the AI overviews that Google is starting to show, you'll see Trustpilot reviews pop up as well. And then also in offline places like packaging and signage, you'll see reviews. So I think what you should aim to do is really have UGC available wherever your customers are looking, or potential customers are looking for reassurance, right? You want to meet them when and where they are, where they are making a purchase decision. And that's going to help them. But it's not only going to help your customers with their purchase, it's also going to help your own brand. So we just a week and a half ago released a research report with London Research, where we took a survey of US consumers and asked them to take a look at the impact of ratings and reviews on advertising, and also in email and website content. And we found really, really strong results. We found US consumers were 15% more likely to click through on an ad with a Trustpilot review. And also they were 4.5 times more likely to click on an ad with the Trustpilot logo, 5 stars, and an ad without any of those. So really clear, that could help boost your marketing performance, just featuring review UGC. But it's not only marketing that could help, it actually can help with your business growth as well. Again, looking at Trustpilot data, we found that businesses that used review content on their websites and in marketing, they saw an increase of 23% in conversions. So that's a really, really clear way to grow both your marketing and also your business as a whole. And so I'd like to just talk through a real life example of this. Best Egg is a customer of ours, and they provide small personal loans and other financial services. And they started using reviews on their website. They were using widgets and quotes and testimonials, and had their own dedicated review page as well. They started using their reviews in their email marketing to prospects, had some good results from that, and then started to use their reviews in their email, in their ad performance as well. And when they did so, they saw a 16.7% increase in their click-through rate on their ads. So again, it's not just the London Research survey that is saying this. This is a real-life example of someone boosting their marketing from just showcasing reviews in their advertisements. So I hope I've convinced you that reviews are a great way to utilize UGC. So I'd like to just kind of wrap up by summarizing easy way to put it into practice. So 3 steps. First, essentially you're going to make review collection part of your customer journey, right? You're going to automate it and send it to every single customer. And in doing so, you will increase the number of views and start to build trust. And then when you do that, you no longer have to say how great your company is. You can use your actual customer's voice to do that and amplify their message all across all of your channels that you're in. And doing so, that's going to really, really amplify the trust that you have with your customers. And finally, you're going to reinforce that trust. So again, at the moments that matter the most, again, on checkout or product pages, that's where you're going to showcase those reviews to really help your customers decide that you are the right fit for them. Because at the end of the day, what I think I really want to highlight is that your customers are your biggest advocates, and if used correctly, they could be your best marketers as well. And that's really the clear steps to building trust and also growth for your business. So thank you. That's all I had for you today. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Trustpilot or schedule a demo, feel free to hit that QR code. We do have an offer as well for 10% off your plan as an exclusive promotion with the SmartSite presentation. But for now, thanks, and I will pass it to Jeff with Creator Co.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Just get my presentation live. Can see it all right? I can see it.
Yes.
There we go. Thanks for joining. As a brief introduction, I lead sales and marketing here at Creator, and I have over 20 years of experience in the B2C and B2B marketing space. For me, what's really interesting about this opportunity with UGC is coming from my background as someone who helped brands like McDonald's or Gap try and build go-to-market plans from a mass perspective to help promote their products. And then when I worked as a B2B product marketing leader at Hootsuite, how do you then take that and translate that information to connecting with social media experts and using their technology? And both B2C and B2B are facing significant challenges today in how they market their products. Brandy talked a little bit about the importance of this content from SEO and Alex from reviews. And so what I'm going to zone in a little bit more on is like, how can UGC overcome some of these challenges that I'm assuming many of you face? And so what I'd like to do is post a poll question, if that's possible, Cassandra, just to get a sense of where people are at when it comes to influencer marketing and developing UGC with creators. Because one of the things that we do as an organization is we have a platform that allows people and companies to really scale what is possible. And so to start with, I would love to hear from the group on the call, what are some of the pain points they're facing? So we have this poll question that has been posted. What's the biggest challenge you're facing to scale your influencer marketing efforts? Because it's easy for you to maybe get one or two people to create some content, but if you're trying to create tens of hundreds of pieces of content, as Brandy mentioned with the importance of SEO, or Alex is saying with the voice of your customers, many companies face a serious challenge of how do they do this with series of spreadsheets and emails. And so I'd love to see what your answers are and what you think. Just give maybe one more moment.
Can you guys see the answers to the votes? Like how many have voted for which category?
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so it seems like the first question has a couple of key answers. One is finding and vetting the right creators. And then the second is budget and resource limitations. I think for many people when it's associated to influencer, it lives within the social media budget, or you tend to associate influencer marketing with Kardashians and someone super popular. There is a growing group of creators that are more micro and nano that can answer that question. But the finding and vetting the right creators can take hours or days to solve that. And so what I'm going to do is I'll share a little bit about Creator. I will give you some of the challenges that marketers are facing and how UGC is overcoming them with a couple of case studies and a little framework at the end for you to take away. First off, there are hundreds of influencer marketing platforms that you could choose from in the industry. And there's an organization called G2 that reviews these organizations. It takes, as Alex talked about, actual comments from customers and insights, and then it aggregates that data to identify who's a leader. And we are super proud to be seen in the most recent report of summer 2025 as a grid leader. You can see the little creator heart in the upper right-hand corner. And really what that means is that it's identifying us as a platform that 4 out of 5 people will rate, or sorry, 99% will rate it 4 out of 5 in their usage of the platform. And 96% of users believe it's headed in the right direction. So the problems we're trying to solve and where we're trying to go is a platform that people want to utilize. So what exactly is the creator platform? Essentially, it's this way for brands to connect with millions of influencers and creators to create that content. We have a number of brands on a global scale like Nike or New Balance or Luxottica, which makes Oakley sunglasses, to retailers like Amazon, Best Buy, and Groupon, and even top agencies like G2 that have tens of their customers like Fender, Sonos, and Lyft using the platform to manage their influencer marketing. What's amazing too is that the system is connected with e-commerce partners like Shopify for many D2C organizations. This is key, as well as affiliate organizations like Rakuten and more. We also are a TikTok Shop partner certified. So what's really great about our platform is that you can track your entire journey of influencer marketing from social to sales and really see that return on investment at the bottom line. There's three key things that differentiate us from the rest of those platforms. One is we have the world's largest database of influencers globally at 400 million. What that gives you is this capability to really drill down to a micro level, even like at a city level, which is very powerful for small businesses or even niche organizations. The second is we have a team of influencer marketing experts. These are people who have been trained up to run campaigns from beginning to end. They help you upfront develop the strategy for your influencer campaign. They will go through the process to develop the brief, to find those right creators. They'll then negotiate the rates, review their content to make sure it's on brand, and then measure and optimize. It's a huge value add for many of our customers who may be entering influencer marketing for the first time, or if they are already focused on social media or digital marketing, it gives you that expert to just be able to allow you to focus on what's critical. The last part is the platform itself. There's really 4 key elements that provide tremendous value to businesses. One is through the discover and recruit, which we learned that's one of the top issues that the group on this call today are facing. The second is activate and manage. Third is measuring report. And last is optimize and scale. I'm just going to give you a peek into some of those systems that help address the value of discover and recruit and others. The first is we have 20 filter types to hyper target. It's really incredible because 400 million people is a lot to try and find on your own through the existing platforms. But with the 20 filter types, it allows you to drill down to incredibly focused areas, whether it's like by location of the person you want to create the content, or maybe it's the location of the actual audience member. It could be down to the age of those people that you're trying to craft that content or niche. And it allows this capability to really refine who you're looking for. The second is around deep insights. And what that allows you to do is really go past the number of followers that this individual may have as an influencer and go deeper into their actual credibility of followers. So how many of these people who follow these influencers are actually humans and not just bots? What are the trends that they're talking about? What are the topics? What's the gender and ethnicity of the people who follow them? What's some lookalikes that are similar? This is all incredibly valuable because anyone's creating or looking for UGC creators, it's very hard to find that by going through the native channels. And this gives you this capability to dive in and find those people that are right for your brand. Another element is how to activate campaigns faster when it comes to activate and manage. And we have this bulk chat email, which allows you to say, take tens or hundreds of creators and send them a particular message, inviting them to participate or giving them details about the campaign you're wanting to run or the creative you're wanting to create. Again, if you're wanting to go beyond a 1 or 2 influencers or creators, this is so time sensitive and savings for the people that use our system. Another is message automation. So as people come in to say they'd be interested to be a UGC creator for your brand, you can set up these automated messages that, again, save you time as an individual. Managing a digital wallet to manage your payouts to the creators. This is also incredibly helpful so that you're not using spreadsheets to try and keep track of all this information of who you've paid to what. And then measure and report. What's great is you can centralize your data in one place. So you don't have to go to Instagram to gather information about what a post might have done. You can actually take the data from Instagram or YouTube or TikTok and be able to see that aggregated in your campaign here. You can also be able to look at Google Analytics. So how does the content you're producing within UGC and the influencers actually impact your web presence? Randy talked a lot about that from an SEO perspective, as well as Alex from reviews. And this just gives you one more sense of information to show the impact of influencers. As mentioned, we do have integrations with affiliates. So if you're doing affiliate sales with Rakuten, Awin, or Impact and others, you can track that. And even Shopify. So when it comes to optimizing and scale, what you can do is create individual coupon codes for each of your influencers if they're creating that content and track that back to see who's the highest performer. Or you could star your favorite creators for future collaborations. That's super valuable when you're trying to build up this ambassador group. So that just gives you an overview of the system and some of the features that help brands be more efficient and effective. But what's the challenge that we as marketers are facing today? The first is around click-through rates decline. Since 2017, click-through rates have declined 50%. And actually conversion rates on some categories have declined as much as 30%. This is in part due to increased competition, particularly with the growth of D2C. There's research that shows that 83% of consumers are actually willing to switch brands, and actually 40% would be open to trying new brands. What that means is that as your paid ads performance decreases, the cost to acquire customers increase, and at the same time, you're battling more competitors in market to try and get your message across. The last big issue that people are facing, and I think that's one reason why we're looking at UGC, is like micro attention spans. So data shows that in 2000, the average person's attention span was 12 seconds. Today, it's about 3. And with that limited time, the question becomes, how can you capture someone's attention in a way that will get them to consider your brand? So what happens now? What do we do? Well, the answer is really using lots of authentic influencer content, that UGC. First, from McKinsey, they talked about how nearly half of consumers and 70% of millennials and Gen Z say they rely on social media, celebrities, and articles or blogs for purchase inspiration. The second is from the New York Times on the importance of authentic content marketing. Alex talked about that with the word trust, and authenticity could not be more important today in showing the value of a product. The last is around the importance of trends in influencer marketing, on how 80% of consumers have researched or purchased or consider purchasing a product after seeing friends, family members actually talking about it. It's all leading to the importance of using UGC and creator content to be able to overcome that timeliness factor and conversion rate. So I have 2 examples for you of clients who've been successful. The first is Neff Vodka, which is an upstart that came into North America with a really innovative design for their can. And the classification of it was to try and stand out from others. And then what they did is they used UGC to try and differentiate themselves. How they did that is they first looked at identifying individuals who matched the brand. And actually this campaign was localized to California and near Ralph's retail locations. So they wanted these individuals to document going in to purchase the product and then use it to make a cocktail and talk about its value and uniqueness. One of the things that really started to take off were, it was a holiday season and people started to actually create holiday jingles. They actually started to show how the product was being utilized to celebrate the holidays. And then on top of that, they expanded that to tap into moments that were occurring in the market. So when Super Bowl happened, when F1 started to happen in Miami, anything that was a celebration, they started asking creators to tap into that, and that helped them increase their awareness and interest in the product for those timeframes. What's really incredible is they use that UGC content in their paid performance. And when they compared those pieces of content compared to their paid ads that the agency done, they actually saw a 50% decrease in the cost per click and a 2x in their click-through rate. And when I talked about earlier those challenges with the declining click-through rates and the challenges to try and get people to consider your product in a competitive market, this type of data is so encouraging to brands in how they can not just create that content, but leverage it within their paid ads to drive conversion. The other one that I want to share is Groupon. Now with Neft, it was using 15 creators per month to create content. With Groupon, they were able to boost conversion rates 7% with influencer UGC. And they did that by scaling from 30 collaborations per month to over 100. That's really important because Brandy mentioned this earlier in terms of like keeping your content fresh. And you need to be creating content on an ongoing basis just to stay within the algorithms and be topical. But scaling from 30 to 100 is incredibly difficult unless you have a platform to make that seamless transition. The other piece that was very important to make that scale was ambassadors. They actually identified people who were really good at working with the business at large. They were great in responding. They created really amazing content, and they created an ambassador program to be able to engage those people on an ongoing basis. That helped the team to be able to speed up their time to market because they already had this group of creators as ambassadors ready to go for each campaign. And then what they did is they took those creators and they started to identify individuals based on unique niches. So for example, for students, they highlight self-care deals and wellness or food, entertainment within budget. Then for families and moms, they showcase gifting ideas or experiences that make meaningful memories. And they started to be able to take all of these hundreds of creators and create unique experiences across all the unique services that Groupon offered. What they did is then layered all that content, not only within their website and their product pages, but also their paid ads, their organic social. And they were able to generate not only 1.3 million views from all that content that the influencers created, but they used that content to see a 40% decrease in the cost per click and a 7% increase in their conversion rate. These are incredible results that show the power of UGC that you can leverage by pulling it through the rest of your marketing and addressing some of those key challenges that you face as a brand with a system that can manage that. I think if I was to give sort of 5 takeaways, the first from a framework perspective would be just building that repeatable recruitment process. So you want to find those creators that align with your voice and audience. That means crafting this brief that really epitomizes the essence of what you're looking for and use tools to better assess each creator beyond the surface. The second is around those briefs, making sure that it's allowing the creator to have some sense of freedom so that they can authentically talk to their audience, but give it enough guidelines and information to stay on point. Create variations of content. As mentioned, algorithms are constantly shifting and your audience grows tired of that repeated version. So create huge volumes of content on an ongoing basis to be relevant. Then amplify that content in your paid ad or website and use tools to streamline that campaign management to allow you to be able to focus on what's really important to you in your role and allow the system to save you time or work with individuals that can free up your time and space. So I'm looking forward to talking to you further with any questions you might have, but I'm going to be passing it over to Gabby, who will take you through the next and final section of the session.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey everyone. So I'm Gabi, the Director of Business Development at Deeto. I think everyone did a great job so far explaining the importance of user-generated content, and I want to talk a little bit about how we can create and like capture that user-generated content. But since I'm the last one and just want to make sure people are still alive and awake, can we just get like a thumbs up if you are in charge in your business of creating user-generated content, if it's reviews, if it's case studies, if it's video testimonials, just thumbs up. Okay, cool, thank you. And if I could also get thumbs up if you're looking maybe to create more of it, if you think your business is like maybe lacking some more stories, lacking more reviews, lacking more testimonials. Awesome, great, thank you. So Deeto, and I'll share my screen soon, and I will try not to talk about Deeto until the end, but we're a customer-led growth platform. So it makes it easy for companies to capture customer reviews, case studies, video testimonials, even things like referrals. So being able to also get leads from your customers. I think everyone understands that customers are really important, but how can we actually leverage them for growth? And that's what we're going to talk about. And let me share my screen real quick. Awesome. So I'm going to start off, go a little bit back. I think a lot of us, this might be repeating some of what we already said, so I'll try to go through this quickly. But you know, the buyer journey has changed. People really care about what your customers have to think. People are a lot more educated. They have a lot more information on the internet. And what they really want to see is how you're helping others. What are their results? Building that trust that we talked about already a couple times so far. And really that's, I think, something important to understand, is that it's becoming more important. It's becoming more important to share those customer results and customer testimonials with your potential buyers. The problem is I think that most companies today aren't really delivering that right, like the right customer insights, either not enough customer insights or just not like what the potential buyer is looking for. Every buyer is different. Every buyer is looking for something else. And it's really important today to personalize that experience for them. So a few problems, and I'm sure some of you are maybe feeling some of these or all of these, or maybe none of these, hopefully. But again, I think everyone's looking for like personalized, role-specific insights. So if I'm a sales manager, I want to see how other sales managers are using this solution. If I'm in cybersecurity, I want to see how other cybersecurity companies are leveraging some sort of solution or product, service. So it really matters like where I'm coming from. It's not like, if I'm a small company, I don't care how an enterprise is using the solution. I want to see how people similar to me are using that solution. Each stage is different. So if I'm just learning about a solution, I might just need a short quote or a logo to see, just to build that trust. But if I'm at the end of the sales cycle, if I'm about to maybe purchase a large service, a large solution, I might even want to speak with a customer. I might want to speak with a reference. So each stage of the sales process and the buying process is different and requires different user-generated contents. And in general, I think just gathering the customer content, customer testimonials today is just a little messy, honestly, manual. It's not like I could just go and use ChatGPT to create a review, right? I need the customer to help me out and to do that. So messy, and I think people today are looking for easier ways to do that. Would love for you to think for a second just what challenges you face when you're creating customer reviews and customer stories. You might have some other ones, and feel free to add them here in the chat. But we're going to go through like how you could maybe avoid some of those challenges and overcome them. What I think also happens, one more slide here about what the challenges I think is that a lot of times what's happening is this is all managed in spreadsheets. You're doing Zoom calls with interviews. You're asking for approvals from customers to leverage the content, to share it. You might be using different review sites. You're trying to put this on your website. There's so many things that are involved with that user-generated content, and that's why it becomes pretty messy, and you end up chasing the stories. Most customers that we speak to have some sort of spreadsheet with their customer testimonials. I think this is actually maybe a good way of doing things. Some customers don't even have that right now, but it's definitely good to try to keep track of all your customer content and customer data in a centralized place. Obviously from there, you want to, like we talked about and others talked about, you want to put it on your website and you want to put it in ads. There's many different places to use it, but it's definitely good to try to centralize this. And that's one thing that we'll show and discuss how you could do. Another thing just to think about, and I'm hearing this a lot, is that case studies are just not what they used to be. Everyone's looking for more case studies. I need a case study from this industry. I need a case study about this. What we try to think about at Deeto is that case studies might not be the solution today for all your user-generated contents. What we really need to think about is how can we answer our customers' questions? And this goes back to, where they are in the sales cycle. What are your customers asking? Are they asking questions about how you're different than a competitor, or how do you get buy-in from the team from their internal team to buy your solution or software? Or what are the results? Or what does onboarding look like? Or how long will it take me to see results? Try to think here, what are the questions that your customers are asking, and then try to answer those questions using your customers. So this is like one trick I like to do, and just something I like to talk about with people, is just build a list of all the questions your potential buyers are asking, and try to then request your customers or ask your customers to help answer those questions. And then that's probably going to be the best type of user-generated content, is those answers. And really just try to think about those questions. I think that makes a really big difference. Companies, potential buyers today aren't looking for a 5-page PDF on your website. They're probably not going to read through that. They want a short answer or something that's really specific and relevant to where they are. What does good look like? So talked a little bit about the challenges, but wanted to speak a little bit about what I think good looks like. So first of all, I think it makes it a lot easier if you have some sort of content creation workflow that's easy and built out for you to actually go and create that content. If you're using AI, probably a pretty good idea today to use that AI. Trying to think about those questions and how you could answer them is a good thing to think about. Being able to actually share this content with your sales team. So having a centralized place with that customer content, if it's in a Google Drive, a spreadsheet, if it's in your CRM or a different sales tool, that's going to be pretty helpful to be able to actually leverage those pieces of content. So I think a good practice is to just centralize everything, have different tags for your content so that it's really searchable and that your team could actually share. If you already have ready to use emails for your team to maybe request user generated content, I think that's a great tip. So if you have an account manager that just had a good call with a customer and they could ask for a review, having just an email that they could share that's very easy, saying, hey, can you share a review about this and this and this, but just already give them a template that they could use right after a call or in an email. That works really well. I mentioned this earlier, but being able to tag your customer proof, your social proof by persona, industry, products, use case, whatever it is, that's also going to end up being helpful when you actually want to leverage those pieces of content. A few other tips here of how to create good customer contents. I won't read through all of this, but overall, I think it's when do you actually ask for content? I think this is a really good thing to think about. Maybe every time a customer renews with you, you should have a workflow asking customers to share a review or share a video testimonial. Maybe right when they finish implementation, it would be a good time, 90 days into your contract, automatically invite them to share a review or a case study. Maybe if you have an NPS program, so being able to, every time you have a high NPS, go and request from your customers to share a good piece of content. Really try to just think about when is the best time to request those pieces of content from your customers. And I think actually, going back to Alex's points, you probably want to invite all of your customers to share reviews. I think it is important to be authentic and show that trust. But I think you could also be thinking about strategic times to request pieces of content and reviews from customers. Also, just trying to think about how you make it easy for your customers to share content and share reviews. So if you could help even just draft something that they could look at and then work around that, that's helpful. If you ask them how they want to share testimonials, like maybe they want to get on a call with you, maybe they prefer to do a quote, maybe they actually just want to maybe join a webinar with you and share, maybe they're interested in that and sharing like how it is working with you. That's also like a way. So just asking customers how they're willing to help. Involving your team, I think, you know, you shouldn't be in this alone. Your customers are having great wins in many different places. So how can you get your team involved and getting your team to also ask your customers for content? That's also something that's really important. And then rewards, I think it's something that's not talked about enough, but how can you incentivize customers to help you? Can you give like a small reward? Can you give a book to a customer when they share like a testimonial? If it's a referral, obviously, I think it's even more important to give some sort of reward or incentive for your customers. So thinking about rewards or ways to like celebrate your customers when they're sharing testimonials is important. Like a lot of our customers today will share on LinkedIn their customers review and just make them kind of feel like a little like a mini influencer, a micro influencer, sharing their review on LinkedIn. That's like another great way that you could reward your customers or just show that gratitude. Gonna quickly talk for a second about Deeto and how we could help, and I do want to show like maybe a really quick demo as well. There's like a minute demo after this, so stay tuned. But with Deeto, essentially, it's a way to always be leveraging your customers in many different ways automatically in the background. So you could set up different triggers to invite your customers to create reviews and create case studies and record video testimonials in the platform. So for example, maybe every time a customer purchases something or renews with you, you could send an automated invite for them to create that piece of content, and Deeto actually creates that and captures it with the customer. Testimonials, we all are tagging in Deeto. So this is like, you can see here just like a little screenshot, but everything's tagged in Deeto with like all the contents, all of your customers, what product they're using, what industry they're from, what size of company, any tag that's important for you. Knowing also how to manage a referral campaign, I think this is kind of goes hand in hand with the testimonial or user-generated content program. But how can you also request leads from customers? How can you get referrals from them? How can you also give them some sort of reward after that? And again, just having everything live in one searchable hub is going to be, I think, helpful for you. Quickly wanted to just show a short demo just so you see like what a customer experience will look like when they're joining Deeto. So what you could see now is what it would look like for your customer, for like, imagine your customer's name here is Amber, what it would look like for her when she joins Deeto. So she would get an invite from you to join Deeto, and she would be able in a couple minutes to create a quote, a review, answer some questions for like a survey, sign up for activities, create a case study, and record a video testimonial. So just quickly going to walk through some of these, but Amber here created a short quote. Using AI, we're able to turn this into a larger review. So trying to make it easier for the customer, they share a short quote, we turn this into a larger review. You could then ask different questions. So, you know, how is the customer using your platform or service? It could be open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. So you can see here the open-ended questions. And then based on their answers, again, using AI, we're actually turning this into a larger user story. We call it a user story, but think about this as like a short case study. It would have their results. It would be based like on your tone of voice, but literally like this case study that's created in a couple minutes with your branding and images, instead of needing like more content writers to help create that. And one thing I think, again, to mention is you could record videos, and you could also reward your customers for every activity that they do. And that could be a point system. It could be a dollar system. But again, just being thankful for the customers, giving them a small reward. And yeah, I think that's an important piece. So I think that's it for me. I'll stop sharing my screen. If you want to learn more, I'd say go to our websites. If you want to book a demo, that's also appreciated. And if you want to add that you heard about Deeto from me, you could add my name, and then my CEO will be happy with me. So you could add that in the form. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you everyone. And I'll pass it on to, I'm assuming, a Q&A.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much to all the presenters. Want to open it up really quickly to Q&A. I saw a couple of questions in the chat already. So let's see, is Ray still here? Let me see what he asked. This one's for Brandy. Is there a way to aggregate the top 10 comments from our 1,200 reviews to broadcast that on our site? Also, these 1,200 reviews are divided by 3 different Google profiles. Brandy, do you have any insights there?
Yeah, there's a couple of specifics here, which I may not be able to answer in a ton of detail, but as for the first part of the question, if you can aggregate reviews, absolutely. There are a lot of tools that can do this. We have a couple of partners, actually, SmartSites that we work with and have been super happy with. Yotpo and Shopper Approved have these like aggregation tools. You can also build something yourself, so it totally depends what sort of capabilities you have in-house. There are also pros and cons to using a tool. You know, if you don't need to dig super deep in the data, a tool that does most of the automation for you is probably very helpful. If you need more advanced solutions, maybe building something custom is better. That's what we do in-house. So absolutely, that's a great thing. The other, I would need a little more background, I think, about the changing the target profile. But generally speaking, I would like the reviews that you're pulling to the site to kind of reflect the content of the site. So if we're talking about 3 different physical locations, I wouldn't necessarily think that like rotating them would have much to do with like Google's crawling, but it would be great to ensure that when you're pulling those reviews in, they're going to the page that reflects that like specific service or that specific location, just to make sure that the content on those particular pages is constantly being updated, and then that would kind of promote that constant crawling and updating.
Okay, awesome. And then I think he also had a question for Jeff. And actually, Ray, are you still on the call? Do you want to just ask Jeff directly?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
So Jeff, we have a business where